Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, back again with another brand new video, and today I will be no damaging all the stages in the Swordplay Showdown mode in Wii Sports Resort. And this will be the first stage, and I will have to apologize for the performance of this first stage. This game runs at 60 FPS, however, when recording this, my laptop was just actually chugging to get this footage running. My first couple recordings here for stage 1 and 2 were recorded with OBS, and then I switched over to Game Capture HD. I have issues with both programs when using my Elgato to record footage, but it seems OBS is a bit more inconsistent and just tends to run worse. Basically, this footage, the reason it looks a little bit slow is because it's kind of hitting 40, 50 FPS instead of 60, which kind of reminds me of what happened with the PAL TVs compared to the NTSC TVs. I don't know, the US TVs compared to the European TVs with the early days of the PS2. Kingdom Hearts, the original game, early PS2 games just kind of ran worse on European consoles. Because region locking was still a thing on the PS2 back in the day. Just region locking in general was still a thing with a lot of different consoles. But this region locking just kind of ended up with, say, the first Kingdom Hearts ran at a certain frame rate, which in the USA could run at that full frame rate on the PS2. But in the European regions, because their TVs were running at a lower frame rate, it meant the game basically ran at 80% of its speed. It just ran slower. So that's kind of what's happening with these beginning recordings. But it has nothing to do with TVs. It's just that my laptop was just chugging to actually record 1080p 60 FPS footage of this game. As it comes, oh yeah, I'm also kind of skipping over tactics here, because there really isn't much to talk about. This is a game which you control with the Wiimote, and not only do you control it with the Wiimote, you control it with the Wiimote Motion Plus. Except the controller I'm using, the Motion Plus thing is this little cube you attach to the bottom of your Wiimote in order to gain more control of just, your swinging sword around. It's more precise, because the Wii, it was kind of advertised as being able to swing a sword around like that, but it just wasn't a very precise motion controlled thing. But this Wii Motion Plus just makes it a lot more accurate. It's not perfect, but it basically works as well as you would want it to work. And for these beginning stages, there really is not much strategy to talk about. I basically just swung wildly, and it basically works for a majority of it. But there will come a time, mostly in the reverse stages, where that strategy is not going to work anymore. You swing wildly. If you hit an enemy and they block you, like Kiwami 2 style, and you stagger for a bit, then you pretty much watch out where they're going to hit you from. You block from that direction. They'll bounce back. They'll stagger off of your block, and then you just hit them. And that's basically going to work for almost the entirety of these first 10 stages. Once we start hitting the reverse stages, you're going to need to actually learn the tactics of this game. You're actually going to have to learn when's a good time to strike, when's a good time to block, and your reactions are going to need to get a lot quicker. But for this beginning section, you really don't have to worry too much. These red guys, yeah, they'll block you more often than the green or orange guys. But the green guys, you can hit them as much as you want. They will never block you. The orange guys, they'll block you a good amount, but not always. Then the red guys, they're definitely more defensive, so you gotta watch out for them. But the reaction speeds are still pretty slow this early on in the game, so you don't really have to worry about that. However, I will say this game has basically, no damaging this game has hurt me in ways which no other no damage I've done has ever done before. Basically, playing long sessions of this Wii Sports Resort game, this is a really funny way to end the fight. I literally killed him. Oh, I didn't kill him, dude. This is a family-friendly game, dude. I just hit him. He just got knocked out. He got a little tired. He just went to bed. He just teleported away to a safe place. There is no K word here. All right, this is a game for family-friendly people, so I'm going to be avoiding the use of any, explicit language. And yeah, right now, stage 4, that I was recording with the Elgato, I was recording with the Game Capture HD, and it was kind of chugging. However, for every future recording I do here for the next stages, the chugging is not going to be nearly as bad because I turned off my video display. Just doing that in the Game Capture software just makes it run a lot better. But the setup I have to record Wii Sports Resort here is pretty out there. It's not as simple as just booting up the console and playing, because this is a very retro console. I am playing this on native hardware. So I have two devices, alright? I have the Elgato HD60 Plus S. I don't know if that's the exact name, but it allows me to record 1080p 60 FPS footage. And I'm upscaling my Wii natively by using another device called the RetroTink 5X. So with the RetroTink 5X, I'm upscaling the footage to 1080p. and it also allows me to just pretty much so like I have these special cables with the Wii, like these special component cables. I don't have the basic component cables, you know, with like the red, yellow, white. I have like these really good component cables, but it's like 5 of them, and they're all like different colors. It's like, you know, white, red, green, blue, and a slightly different shade of red. I have those cables for the Wii just to get that extra bit of like, you know, high definition quality, and just the RetroTink 5X also just continuously upscales it. So then I just plug my Elgato into that RetroTink 5X, and that's how I'm recording all this footage. So if you're wondering why the footage looks so crisp, that is exactly why. And also I'm able to record at 60 FPS, but turning off that video display in the program of just the Game Capture HD, I'm also doing this on Mac. I'm sure on Windows it's slightly different, but the same principle kind of applies. Turning off that video display, like that video preview, just increases performance a lot. So if you really chug to like record footage, that's the first thing you gotta do. It helps a ton. And if you have a good setup, you don't really need to see the video display unless you're like streaming or something, which in that case I guess it can become kind of a pain in the butt. I can't say the naughty word, the A word. I can't say the A word. But yeah, no, this is a game from my childhood. Like, I'm very, very nostalgic for this. I'm just very nostalgic for the Wii, because the Nintendo Wii was one of the first consoles I've ever owned. And like, I'm pretty sure it's like the first console I really actually owned. I mean, I've played games on the GameCube at friends' houses, and I'm sure I've played games here and there. Like, I don't know, there was like one haircut place which had just GameCube set up everywhere, and you could like play Super Smash Bros. Melee while getting a haircut. I'm pretty sure that's like my first introduction to Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'm just getting a haircut, and I'm just allowed to like play the adventure mode of Melee. But the first actual console I owned in my house, and I could just confidently say was mine, was the Nintendo Wii. Though I'm pretty sure I had a portable console. Like, I'm pretty sure I got a DS like before getting the Wii, but home console, Nintendo Wii. That was the first one I had. And the console came with 2 games for free. However, my uncle got rid of one of the games because it was too mature for me. That game was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. But the 2 games that came with the console was the original Wii Sports and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So the reason why I did not play The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess when I was like 6 years old is because my uncle just did not want me to play that teen-rated game. And the cover of that game is a little scary, you know? It's got like Link, it's got the wolf, it's got like, it's all gray and like moody. It's like the cover looks like it looks like a funeral invitation, you know? It's very like edgy and off-putting, you know? It's like you don't want your 5-year-old playing that game. And you know, it's for 13 and up, you know? You can't play that when you're 5. Even though a lot of kids probably did play that when they were 5, and that game's got a couple scary moments. Ooh. And well, and to this day, I still haven't played The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I've only beaten... The only Zelda game I've actually beaten the entire way through is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I really gotta hop on those other games because I bought, like, an original copy of, like, an original GameCube copy of The Wind Waker. So I'm just trying to make my way through that because I think that game has a really lovely art style. And the way they changed the art style in the Wii U version, I'm not that big of a fan of, but the Wii U version still looks really nice. Like, just The Wind Waker, just in general, it's just a very graphically nice game. But yeah, no, I want to mention a couple other specific things about this game. Just, there isn't really too much to talk about with... But yeah, no, I should probably elaborate on why this game hurts my shoulder so much. Like, okay, so like, when I hit the gym, sometimes I do like 100 pull-ups, 100 weighted pull-ups. There's like a certain machine where you can just add extra weight just to make it easier, but like, I tend to do 100 every now and then, right? Like, I'll do 25, and then I'll take a little break. 25, I'll take a little break, and then like I'll try to do another 25, but I end up doing like 20, I take like a 10-second break, and then I do 5, and then I take a bigger break, and then I try to do that last 25, you know, maybe like in sets of 10, like, ooh, 10, and then maybe like a 15, and then boom, 100 for the day. And I've done that a couple times, and every time I've done that, I have never encountered the pain in my right shoulder, which playing Wii Sports Resort for like 5 hours has given me. Like, honestly, the Nintendo Wii, I love the console, but returning to it as an adult is just like, I swear there's so many games that like give me pain just playing them for like long periods of time. I have a video where I no-damaged the Wii edition of Resident Evil 4 specifically because it's my favorite version of the game. But even playing that for long sessions just kind of like hurts my wrist a little bit, just having to use the pointer the whole time. Just like the way the controller is set up, I swear it's like maybe not made for adult hands. And the pain is way worse with this like Wii Sports Resort game because like my wrist and right shoulder just started aching like just worse and worse and worse the more time I engaged with this game. Like by the time I was done doing this no damage video, like I was so happy to be done with the game. Like I cannot play another Wii game that requires me to use motion controls. This is actually like painful. like I'm raising my shoulder, I'm like, ow. ow, like my wrist. It just felt like, I mean, I felt like I had joint pain or something, dude. Like, I mean, is this it? Like, I mean, do I have like arthritis? Like, I mean, just these are the things which happen when you spend too much time playing Wii games. But I definitely do want to continue doing more no damages in the Wii games, especially because I plan on upgrading my recording software. I'm actually planning on buying a new Elgato. Because the Elgato I actually have two Elgatos right now. I used to have like the Game Capture HD one, which only allows you to record like 1080p 30 FPS, and the only 60 FPS you could do was like 720p 60 FPS. However, then there's the Elgato I have now, like the Game Capture, I don't know, Elgato Game Capture like HD 60 Plus S. That one allows you to do 1080p 60 FPS, but not 1440 like P 60 FPS. And also, I only recently learned that it's pronounced 1440p. I didn't know what the shorter way of pronouncing that was, because I kept saying like 1440p, which makes no sense because I know like 1080p, you know, that's like the shorter way to pronounce it, but I didn't know what was like a natural way to pronounce like 1440p until I learned that it's 1440p. But yeah, no. There's a new version of like the game capture system, like the Elgato like recording software, which allows you to do 1440p. And the RetroTink 5X, like the one I have specifically, you know, like that specific brand one, it can upscale up to 1440p. And yeah, there is a new one which records to like 4K, but that one costs like $500, $600. The thing about the RetroTink like upscalers is that they are very, very expensive. But they're very much worth it, but you know, just if you own any other type of upscaler, maybe you should really reconsider before spending that much money on it. But I'm really happy with it. It's like, I've never had like a native upscaler like that, and it's just been doing great work with the PS2, Nintendo Wii, and well, I mean, those are pretty much the only big retro consoles I have. Like the other consoles, I can just hook up to like an HDMI and just kind of go from there. And the Nintendo Wii also just kind of works as a GameCube anyways, but yeah, no, it's been doing great work with that. And I'm going to be able to record even better footage if I can get to like 1440p. I just worry that my laptop is just going to like combust under the weight of having to record that slightly higher like res footage. And there, I guess I'm just kind of being a little bit slow because these enemies do tend to block quite a bit. And like these big guard enemies with like the black armor, they can be a bit faster in these early stages, but they will definitely be faster in the later stages. So you really have to watch out for those guys in those later stages, because the way this game is split up is it's split up into 20 stages, but it's only like 10 stages of content. Well, you know, they do enough modifications to make like 11 through 20 feel different, but there's 10 stages, you know, and they're decently easy. You kind of just breeze through them. And yes, I am doing no damage, but I'm not doing like a no block, because I know there's certain runs where people just play this entire mode without like, you know, a full combo, you know, they never used a block, and that's very impressive. That is not what I'm planning on doing. I just kind of wanted to hop in and just, you know, do a no damage, just not get hit once. In fact, originally I actually planned on making my Wii Sports Resort video doing every single minigame in the game. However, I just realized something. Like, I mean, I was pretty much like watching people's like no damages of the modes, and doing every single stage in this mode specifically will be a 40-minute video. So imagine if you do every single minigame, it would be like a 5-hour long video. It would be absurd. I would be down to like return to Wii Sports Resort later on and maybe try doing no damages of the other minigames, but it's just gonna be very abstract. This is like the only one which has a definitive health bar, definitive like challenges, stages, bosses. Like all the other ones, like how do you no damage golf? How do you no damage bowling? What are the conditions for that? You know, like what, you're gonna get a par in every single turn? I mean, like, not only is it more abstract, it's just, it would be even more like infuriating and absurd. You know, you have to like basically be a perfectionist to like achieve a no damage status. Like what, do I get all the stamps without like losing once? I mean, like just the conditions which you have to like place upon yourself to like have a no damage video of some sort for the other minigames is just very, very absurd. But for this one, you know, straightforward, just actually don't take damage, because, you know, that's what it is. It's a combat game. The other games are not made for combat. They're just made for like fun or competition. So yeah, no. And also, this is like my favorite mode from the original Wii Sports Resort. And I never beat all the stages as a kid, but I just know that this mode was awesome. But I definitely never reached the reverse stages, because like I probably played it for a bit, had a great time. I was like, oh, this is awesome, but I probably got stuck somewhere and just kind of gave up on it, or just kept playing like the dual version of the sword minigame with friends, and just kind of moved on from there. But yeah, currently, oh yeah, I will say the Wii I got as a kid, you know, and owned, I don't own that Wii anymore. The Wii I own currently is just one I bought recently for like $120, you know, give or take. And right now, currently, I don't own an original copy of Wii Sports. I only own Wii Sports Resort. And yeah, the Wii Sports Resort I own is from my childhood, but yeah, no, just my original copy of Wii Sports is gone. It's just in the nether somewhere. So just very sad about that because for a good while, like a copy of the original Wii Sports costed like $50, which is pretty insane. However, I did hear from my friend that recently the price for Wii Sports dropped down. But it would be really funny for anyone watching this video like way later after it comes out, because like the way game prices change can fluctuate so fast. Because when I was in high school, a copy of like Silent Hill 2, 3, or 4 for like the PS2 costed like $40, but currently it costs around like $140 or $180 each. It is absurd, and it is just very sad to see. The state of preservation of games is in a very bad state. Just for like, Silent Hill specifically is just in a very terrible state of preservation. And the remake, I don't think is going to help matters much, because just the original games are just going to be kind of lost to time. But then again, there is people who have like modified the PC version. But why am I talking about Silent Hill in a game about Wii Sports Resort? I mean, I hope that the Silent Hill fandom and the Wii Sports Resort fandom has a lot of overlap. And okay, this stage I remember being like pretty long, just 'cause it's a castle, it's a big like climactic like showdown, you're just crossing bridges and all that. And mind you, in these beginning stages, like I don't have too many issues because the first 10 stages are pretty easy, but this one stage does go on for a really long while, and I didn't fully explain that. But yeah, once you beat the first 10 stages, you're gonna do every single stage again, except you're gonna do it in reverse, and the enemy AI is gonna be a lot harder. Like basically, you're gonna encounter the little green noob enemies are gonna be a lot rarer. They're not gonna show up nearly as much, and the orange enemies are gonna get a lot faster with their attacks. Like basically, like they'll have like second reactions, you know, like they'll see that they have an opening and then in 1 second they'll hit you, like when before they'll take like 3 to 4 seconds to hit you, so it becomes a lot harder. But yeah, this is the final level of the first 10, but then after this we unlock the reverse stages. So yeah, and you know, like stage 11 will be the same stage as stage 1 but in reverse, stage 12 will be the same stage as stage 2 but in reverse, and with much harder enemy AI. However, I will say, one thing which I really appreciate about this final Volcano level is just kind of the atmosphere and sound design. You know, like, it's a lot more echoey, you're inside a volcano, and these enemies just kind of have swords with these nice little glowing effects on them. This level is a little bit annoying, especially if you're like too used to just swinging your sword wildly and expecting to hit everyone, because yeah, in this level, even though it is still one of the easier ones, you know, like boom, they take a really long time to hit you, and you know, like when you block their attacks and you know they start staggering around, they don't try to block you while they're staggering around. So, but yeah, no, like this level, they do block more, so it is kind of like a sign of things to come, because in the reverse stages, the enemies are going to get a lot more block heavy, and you really have to learn how to deal with that. You can't be so gun-ho and expect to get away with it, but you can still be kind of gun-ho and get away with it. Sometimes, honestly, I mean, I'm still going to do it, because I love playing in a gun-ho style, but playing in that gun-ho style hurt my shoulder, because I was swinging that remote so wildly in these first beginning stages that like later on I had to like be a lot more conservative with the way I did this. And also, it's a little late to mention, but this is a segmented run. Basically, like, I'm not doing this all in one take. Honestly, with the reverse stages, there's certain reverse stages that's just kind of insane. Like, doing it in one take for maybe like the first 10 stages isn't so bad, but like, once you start getting to the reverse stages, especially like, there's 2 specific reverse stages that are like the bane of my existence. They're like easily the most annoying like stages in the entire game. But yeah, oh wait, hold on, I completely forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, no. So, I'm doing this segmented, you know, like stage 1, I'll record that, and then stage 2, there'll be a separate recording, you know, it won't be immediately done after stage 1, but for certain stages, I actually did them in a one-take fashion. I have it noted down here. Basically, I have it noted down here. Like, yeah, so like stages 5 and 6, I did in one take, and stages 9 through 11, I also did in one take, but the rest of them are completely segmented. You know, like I'll do stage 1, and then I'll try stage 2, I'll get hit, I'll restart, and there'll be a separate recording, but I'll just edit it together for like the most smooth and just very like pleasant viewing experience possible. I do hope this video is a pleasant viewing experience. But speaking of viewing experience, I kind of have this game recorded in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and even though I really shouldn't have done that, because from what I understand, is that the Wii confuses me, because like, there's like videos and like people that say, oh, the Wii, you know, there's certain games that are 4:3, and if you stretch them out by 16:9, you're just kind of making it look uglier. But then there's like other people who say, oh, no, but certain Wii games are 16:9, and you should stretch them out. And I'm pretty sure that Wii Sports Resort may be the game that is 16:9, and I should have stretched out more, and it would have looked just fine. So there may be no reason to have this in a 4:3 aspect ratio, because like in the Wii, okay, the way the Wii works is you kind of have like the main menu of the Wii, and you can go into system settings, and you go into like screen settings, and you can choose between displaying the Wii in a 4:3 aspect ratio or a 16:9 aspect ratio, depending on your TV. So if you have it in a 4:3 aspect ratio, of course they shrink some stuff down so that if you're viewing it on a 4:3 TV, like, you know, things aren't going to be so fat per se. You know, they look a lot more skinny, you know, just it's a lot more pleasant to the eye. And if you have a 16:9 like TV, then you just select the 16:9 option, and you know that the settings like scale, they become like, you know, wider to accommodate your bigger TV. So yeah, no, this footage, the way I'm recording it, is I have like my Wii set to a 4:3 aspect ratio, and I have my RetroThink 5X set to a generic 4:3 aspect ratio, like, you know, template per se, because, you know, I have both of them selected and they both work, and yeah. So this is a very natural looking 4:3, but it really didn't have to be. I probably could have recorded this at 16:9. But it's like there's like conflicting information on what is and isn't 4:3, what is and isn't 16:9, because like there was like this one YouTube video I saw, I forgot who made it, but in the YouTube video it was something along the lines of like, oh yeah, the Wii can't do 16:9 because you're just gonna be getting stretched pixels. But then you look in the comments and people are like, oh no, the Wii runs at a really weird resolution where if you get 16:9 you actually don't lose any pixels, but you actually don't gain any pixels. Like it confuses me a lot that honestly at this point it probably doesn't even matter that much, and I should probably just make the next Nintendo Wii video at 16:9. However, I am very interested in no damaging Ultimate Spider-Man on the original PS2, and I know that game is 4:3 because all the like the no damage videos on the Ultimate Spider-Man video game, they play it on the PC because, you know, you'll get the best graphics there. But you have to use mods to like stretch it out to 16:9, and every time the game transitions from like a cutscene to gameplay, like there's just like this overlay, this like 4:3 cube overlay, which is kind of ugly, in an ugly fashion fades out. And you can just tell that, oh yeah, the game's originally 4:3. So for my Ultimate Spider-Man video, I'll probably do that for 4:3, but that's the PS2, and that just gets into a whole different tobacco, and just, I am not the biggest expert on like TV formats and game formats and 4:3, 16:3, Yakuza 1 in 4:3, 16:9, which game has ugly 16:9 modes, I don't know. It is very, very overwhelming. So let me get into more specific no damage things. There isn't too much, well, I mean, not yet, but one thing is that basically if you get clipped, you can pause the game and you pretty much restart. But something which I noticed is, well, this is more important in the later stages where enemies can really gang up on you and just instantly kill you very quick because they'll do like 3 slashes. Even if they like take away 3 of your hearts, there's a really long period before when you're like flying in the air and like the game is fading to white, and before the game over screen happens, where you can still pause the game, restart, and the game won't count it as like a loss. Because every time you lose, your rank goes down. You'll see that at the end of like every level that I win, my rank slowly goes up, and there is a maximum rank. But when you lose, that rank goes down. This is like one of the worst levels in the game. Stage 13 is insane because, you know, like these orange guys are insanely fast. The blackguard guys can also be insanely fast. And mind you, some of these are women as well who have been volunteered to like pretty much endure this sort of like resort like violence experience. But yeah, this level is insane. There is not a safe haven here, and one of the most, okay, the orange guys, they're annoying because they react incredibly fast. You can't just attack them first because a lot of the time their reactions are faster than yours, so you have to like anticipate them really well. And also, like, one thing which I really like to do in these no damages is that if you're fighting a crowd, I like to pretty much deal a lot of collateral damage in a group. So, you know, if you're trying, you lock onto one enemy, but your swings can still hit the enemies around you. So for some of those harder enemies, you really want to get lucky and just hit them while you're hitting the one enemy you're locked on. You know, just get a lot of collateral done. It's how you take down, you know, crowds really quick. And yeah, that level was very quick, but like, you know, it's one of the shorter levels in the game, but because it's so short, it's packed with challenge because the enemies react so fast, you have to react faster, which means I beat it in a really fast time. Yeah, no, just super fast enemies in stage 13. Just like, the stage 14 is like so easy in comparison to like stage 13. Stage 13 is just like such a boost in challenge out of nowhere. Like, you really have to lock in and actually learn the game a bit and to actually get good at your reactions, at your movements, and also like to not make your movements too wild, because there will come points where, like, if you swing the Wii remote like way too wildly for like long periods of time, it's gonna get decentered, and you have to go into the pause screen, center it again, you know, la-li-da, you know, like if the motion controls start like, you know, geeking out, you know, like tweaking, you have to get used to that. But yeah, one of the most important things you really do have to learn for being good at this game is just pretty much how to get past people's guards, which I don't tend to do much. But like the entire like first half of this video, I just completely ignore that, right? I just hit their guards and like pretty much react to it anyways. But there's gonna come a point where you can't really rely on that like 100% of the time. You're gonna need a slightly better strategy, which I don't do all the time, but it's important to learn this, okay? The logic of this showdown mode is basically the same as the fruit cutting mode. Because, you know, like Wii Sports Resort has multiple minigames, and one of them falls in the umbrella of Swordplay. And you have 3 different modes. You have the fruit cutting mode, you have the where you pretty much cut fruit, and it's a kind of a competition to see who cuts the fruit first. You have the duel mode, where you just go one-on-one with a friend or the CPU. And then you have the showdown mode, which is a single-player campaign, where you go through these 20 stages and defeat all these enemies, right? But the logic of the fruit cutting mode is that, you know, a fruit comes down, and you'll see a big arrow telling you where to cut from. And the same thing is happening here in the showdown mode. But instead of a big arrow, you have to follow the direction of the enemy's swords. Like, for example, if the enemy has their sword facing like vertical, you have to hit them, you have to do a vertical slash across their bodies, which means that's how you hit them and you don't hit their block. If you hit them from another direction, you're gonna hit their block. So that's how that works. That's when an enemy is blocking. So that's how you get past that. I hope that really makes sense, because if you want to do like, you know, a really insane challenge run, you know, like a no blocking run, that is 100% essential, because you can't really rely on enemies like, you know, getting rid of their block, because a lot of the enemies, like these red guys are very notorious for this. They'll just never stop blocking. Like, they'll take an eternity to never stop blocking. Like, you know, in the early stages, you can kind of wait for the enemy to, you know, just drop their guard and try to attack you. But you can't really do that in the reverse stages, because one, they really won't stop blocking at all. Like, they'll stand there for like a minute straight, just continuously blocking, just killing your entire flow. Or when they do drop their guard and attack you, they'll do it so fast that you won't be able to react to it. So you really do have to watch out for that sort of stuff. You have to learn like these little mechanisms, and they're not very complicated. I just don't know if I'm explaining them as well as I really wish I could. And now I want to mention something entirely different. Well, it's still related to this mode, but it doesn't really affect gameplay at all. But it is really neat, and I think it'll be fun to know. So the weather system can be messed around with in this mode. And I'm pretty sure you noticed that like some stages are at night, some stages are in the daytime, and some stages are at dusk. The way that works is that I believe when you first enter the game and then enter the showdown mode, the first level you play will always be in daytime. If you beat this level, then the next level will be in the evening, and if you beat that level, the next level will be at night. But if you quit the night level and exit the main menu and re-enter the same mode to play the same level, it will still be at night. However, if you lose in the level and redo it, I think the weather changes. I'm actually not 100% sure about that. And also keep in mind that if you restart a level, the weather stays the same, which is like, I kind of ended up doing that a whole bunch, but you're going to see some weird weather separations, because the way it's supposed to work is you kind of have, you know, daytime, evening, night, daytime, evening, night, but you're going to see some weird separations, and that's when you can tell when I quit the game and went to, you know, go live my life or something. For example, I went to the beach and got sunburned very bad today, which kind of gave me the Wii Sports Resort experience. I mean, you know, this is a resort, there is a beach there, you do like beach activities, and I'm sure some of these Miis could get sunburned if you really wanted them to get sunburned. That's not in the game, but you know, like realistically, I feel like not all these Miis would have sunscreen, but if this is a Wii Sports Resort, I feel like the resort would offer it, but even if they did offer it, I feel like some of these Miis would just not use sunscreen. Also, I've completely neglected that the Mii playing right now is MC. That's me. That's my Mii. But all these other Miis, like I made a couple original like Miis. I made some like Yakuza Miis, and I was really hoping they would show up here, but they just didn't. Like, I don't know. I mean, I read a rumor that like if you level up, if your level rank is like really high, then like more Miis will start showing up. But I think that was only like an online mode thing, and all Wii online services have been shut down unless you homebrew your Wii. And I've tried hacking this Wii before to access Homeroom, and I failed to do so. But I do find it humorous that in the process of actually reaching the Wi-Fi server you need to access Homebrew, that the loading icon is just Rainbow Dash for My Little Pony. Like, what? Why is she here? What is she doing here in my Homebrew setup? Like, and also on my own, like, you know, hacking progress, I never reached that point of like the Homebrew like screen. I just saw that in the video tutorials that like, once you see that like cartoon character, that's when you know that you're on the right path. I never reached that point. I was only able to connect my Wii to Wi-Fi but I wasn't able to actually reach any Wi-Fi services or like reach any homebrew services. But I do want to get back to it because the Wii is basically an abandoned console, and there's a lot of games that I can only access through basically like homebrewed like shenanigans. Like I used to have a pretty extensive like collection of like NES of like just like the Wii store, like the WiiWare store. That was such a like a fun shop. You know, I had so many retro games. You had like the unique WiiWare games. I had like this one online shooter that was like with water guns, and I actually played it online. But the one bad thing about it is that the only controls were like with the Wiimote and nunchuck, and that could get really awkward really fast. And yeah, in the reverse stages, like the green guys don't entirely disappear, but they're much rarer. Though the one good thing about them is that if there are green enemies in these reverse stages, you can be as nonchalant with them as much as you like. Like you don't have to like exercise any sort of caution with the green enemies. You can just hit them as fast as you want and it'll work. But with every single other enemy, you really do have to be more careful. The black guards have much faster reactions. Though I will say the purple and red guards, they do play more defensively, so their reaction speeds are not going to be nearly as fast as these orange guys. Like, I mean, yeah, it's good that the orange guys only have like one little heart, but they are so fast. No, actually, one of the more annoying aspects is that they're inconsistent, too. Like, there'll be, like, some orange guard enemies, which are pretty slow, you know? Like, they won't hit you that fast. And then there'll be, like, the more aggressive orange, like, me enemies. So you kind of have to pay attention to, like, hey, which orange me moves fast as hell and which orange me is not moving that fast. Oh, did I just say a no-no word? Oh, my goodness, YouTube is going to demonetize this video. But, yeah, no. You'll just have to like study which Miis are moving a certain way because yeah, no original Miis showed up in this video, but just like the ones which were created for this mode specifically because, you know, I mean, they kind of have to like account for the fact that, hey, hold up, some people who buy this game are not going to make their own Miis. You know, like, I mean, so we kind of have to give them like options, you know, we have to give them like unique like character models to fight. And hey, like, I mean, that also happened in the original Wii Sports, and it created one of the most iconic like final bosses in like the Nintendo Wii's history, Matt. And we will be seeing him later. Spoilers, we will be seeing that legendary figure again, and thankfully he is nowhere near as hard as I was expecting him to be. Just the stage in general. I mean, mind you, like, this no damage gave me a good amount of pain, but it wasn't that hard overall. Oh wait, hold up, is this the stage? No, we're not there yet. But yeah, basically, like, I mean, I started it just like, you know, casually. I recorded like the first 3 stages, no damage. But then I got caught up doing like no damage. I got caught up doing Yakuza streams, you know, editing videos here and there, you know, just kind of like living life, starting summer. And then like after 3 or 4 days, I kind of got back to it, and I was able to do like stages 4 to all the way to 18, and then like I saved 18, 19, and 20 for the next day. And I was like, oh yeah, I think like 18, 19, and 20 I saved for Thursday. Today is Saturday. So I thought, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do those stages Thursday, and you know, I'll have a video done and I can release it on Friday, but things did not end up that way, and I'll explain it once we reach the next stage. This stage isn't so bad, but once again, like the reverse stages, the enemies are a lot more defensive. You have to be a lot more quick with it. Like, I'm just telling you, there's 2 specific stages that are like insanely horrible, and one of them I've already done, but stage 13 is one of the biggest hurdles. It took me like an hour or 2 to beat, just like straight up. Like, I mean, all the other stages, like at most, were like what? Like 5-10 minutes, you know, like maybe 15-20 or so, but like stage 13 an hour or 2 because it was just so insanely like punishing, just so fast. Like the enemies just like ganged up on me so quickly. But yeah, no, this level is like decently long, and that's like the first time I saw like an enemy use a parachute because, well, it is a pretty high distance. And I do kind of like the contextualization of this mode, just like the resort area in general. The way they contextualize, like, you know, how every area fits into each one. And you really see that contextualization, just like world building, really shine in like the dog fighting like minigame, just like the plain one. You can actually explore all of the island. You know, you can see, hey, that's where I played table tennis, or hey, that's where I did the sword fighting. Hey, that's where I, you know, threw a frisbee for a dog. Also, I was testing out, like, when I still had the idea of like no damaging every single minigame, I was testing out the frisbee one, and I'm like, dude, that's gonna be so painful to actually learn. I'm actually very glad I just stuck with this one for now, because like a lot of those minigames, they're gonna be very painful to get through. You know, and also just it's gonna be very painful to set no damage conditions, because like the only condition is just get the best score. And getting the best score is actually gonna be much harder than just doing a regular no damage like I'm doing right now. And I do also like that this game has its own built-in achievement system. And one of the achievements for this Swordplay Showdown mode is actually taking no damage. They call it, like, you know, not getting touched. Like, you know, once you, like, no damage every single stage, you'll get the untouchable stamp. I've already gotten a couple stamps along the way, but yeah, no, there's actually an incentive to pretty much doing every single stage here without getting hit once. It is one of the achievements. So, you know, if you're a big achievement hunter, a completionist, this is one of the things you have to do to 100% Wii Sports Resort. This is the worst stage in the game by far. Oh my goodness. I mean, there's so many explicit words I want to, like, say to, like, elaborate on this, but this game is, like, rated E for everyone, so, like, I don't think that's really appropriate. I tend to, like, kind of use explicit words every now and then because all the games I've played on this channel up to this point have been mature, but I feel like for this one, for anyone who's watching, I don't want to use any swear words to, like, scare them off, or also to scare off the algorithm, let's say. But I'm not gonna title this game for kids, just because, like, this video just isn't for kids still. Just because, like, if you, like, specify that, oh, I'm making this video for YouTube Kids, like, you just get so many, like, negative effects applied on top of your video that you just don't want. You know, you're gonna get less viewers. They're not gonna be able to share it as easily. They can't add it to any playlist. Like, why would I want any of that? You know, like, there's no point. So this video is just going to be for anyone who wants to see it. It's for all ages, not just kids. And also the YouTube Kids system is just kind of, like, messed up in a lot of weird ways. Like, there was, like, a whole commotion where, like, people just snuck in very disturbing videos into, like, that whole content field. There were, like, content farms specifically around releasing disturbing videos for, like, YouTube Kids. Like, just, I'm pretty sure that's, like, changed slightly, but it's still kind of true. Like, just a complete mess. But I don't know if I have anything, like, too specific to say about stage 19 that makes it the most awful stage ever. Like, I gotta have, like, this outline of points. This camera angle is terrible. This specific camera angle has, like, messed me up so many different times because, like, you know, an enemy will just prepare an attack, like, off screen and I won't be able to see them. Maybe if I had the game in 16:9 mode, maybe they'll be more visible, but, like, that's, like, a vertical thing, and the camera's, like, very zoomed in. This is, like, FOV, like, at the absolute lowest. So, you know, maybe that helps the game run better, and this does run at 60 FPS, which is very nice. I could not imagine this running at 30 FPS. Could you imagine that? Wii Sports Resort at 30 FPS? Like, ew, dude. You know, like, the Wii's processing power is the lowest of all the consoles, but, like, at least they prioritize, you know, like, 60 FPS for a lot of stuff. You know, Super Mario, like, Galaxy is, like, one of the best looking games ever, despite, like, the Wii's, like, really low processing power. You know, it has, like, all these, like, effects, like, dot arrays, like, just an immaculately crafted game, Super Mario Galaxy there. But yeah, no, this stage, it's incredibly brutal. You have so many enemies that react fast as hell. You have, like, so many enemies that block you, and it's super long. It's a super long stage, so it's just like an endurance test. Like, it never lets up. There's never, like, an easy section where you can just relax. There's always, like, an orange enemy that'll attack you way too quickly. There's always, like, you know, like a blackguard enemy who will, like, you know, you'll, like, attack them. Okay, here's one thing which I don't think I fully explained. For some of these orange enemies, like the really fast and, like, aggressive ones, and for, like, some of the blackguard enemies, like, you can't really, like, do the spam block move because, like, you know, you'll hit them and then you'll block the attack they do, but then when, like, they're staggering away from whenever they hit your attack, they'll still be blocking while staggering the same way you do. So you actually have to, like, pay attention to the direction of their sword and hit that direction because, like, I've run into a very nasty habit where, you know, I'll hit the, if you've seen my, you know, I've been releasing these videos where it's like how to fail the perfect Wii Sports Resort no damage. It happens in those videos where basically, like, I'll hit the enemy's block, I'll be, like, staggered, and then I'll block the enemy who, like, you know, staggered me, and then they'll be staggered, and then I'll try to hit them, but while, like, trying to hit them, you know, I hit the block they did while they're staggered, and then it'll just kind of be like this loop where I'll keep hitting them over and over and over until they do a certain thing where I'll do, like, a horizontal slash, and because they'll do, and then they have a vertical block, and then, like, you know, they'll stagger, but they'll still do a vertical block, and then I'll try to do, like, then I'll do, like, a horizontal slash again, because I'm just kind of, like, a little, you know, a little too angsty, you know, I'm swinging a little too fast, and then I'll be like, okay, maybe next time I'll just do a vertical slash, but then the next time, they're blocking in a horizontal fashion, and then I'll just be knocked off, and then they'll do a horizontal slash and just, like, clip me that way, just because, like, sometimes you'll just be bouncing off the enemy's block, like, once or twice. Like, no, more like 4 or 5 or 6 times, and then just do a weird motion that you have to react very fast to, and, like, you know, spin your wrist in a way where you'll just, like, dislocate it. It's just very annoying. Like, ooh, this Volcano was just so much easier in comparison, but it's still, like, a level you have to be very, very careful for. You have to be a little bit more precise, because, like, the final, like, enemies are all, like, blackguard enemies. And it is decently long as well, but I do still really appreciate the atmosphere of it, and also getting to fight Matt as the final boss fight is pretty neat, though. I'm gonna be dealing a ton of damage to him as collateral, so when I actually get to face off against him, like, one-on-one, you know, there's not much to him. Just boom, done, and we're done with the video. And yes, I hope what I've been talking about makes sense. This is one of my shorter videos, but not too short. I mean, 40 minutes is still a huge chunk of time, and I'm still very thankful that you've actually sat down to listen to me kind of ramble about a nostalgic favorite of mine. Honestly, I think this is one of my favorite games of all time. Just like, I'm always going to be very biased towards it. It's one of my childhood favorites, and thank you so much for watching this no damage of all the Swordplay Showdown courses, and I'll see you then for the next video. Peace out.